What up, fam? Ryan the Mighty Quinn here, the Cornerman _MMA. We just had a great bantamweight title fight take place last weekend with Henry Cejudo losing a close decision to Aljamain Sterling. Um, did not think it was controversial at all. The nod going to Aljo. I thought it was a clear decision that Aljo. Um, this isn't what that's about, but Aljo won that fight pretty clear. I felt. And some of the scoring. Hey, we're not going to getting into the scoring. The right guy won the fight. We go forward. So what's interesting is earlier that week, Henry Cejudo said his next fight he wanted to go up and get Volkanovski. Go after the featherweight title. I mean, of course he does. Of course he does. I don't fault him for that. As he said prior, I mean, after the fight, I'm here to build my resume. We've never seen an Olympic and three-time division champion. We've never seen. He's the only Olympic and two-time division champion, triple C for a reason, quadruple C. It'd be nuts, quad C. So of course he wants to do that. Now that being said, me as a fan, um, I don't want to say to hit on it. I just felt there's so many good fights for him to have at bantamweight right now. Even when he said that, like I wasn't going to come on here and piss and moan that I want to see him at bantamweight. I would be equally happy. I'd still think it was cool if he went up and fought Volk, whatever. I'm not cool with it. But now, granted, this is if this fight, become another two division champion. Now, I've talked about how I feel about champ fights. Sometimes I'm pretty bullish against them, but now. Okay, about the good fights that he could have at bantamweight. The number one that was on my mind that I was texting after the fight and on Sunday with a various amount of friends was against Merab Dvalishvili. Now, Henry's very smart. I believe it was early Monday morning. It might have been late Sunday. He sent out a very good text promoting that fight or calling him out for UFC Boston. Fantastic. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I highly doubt Merab's going to run away from that one too. You already got some great story there. He just fought his teammate, one of his best friends, and it's just such a freaking banger. It's going to be such a good fight if this comes to fruition. And I love that Henry's looking for the fairly quick turnaround. That's wrestlers. We compete. That's what we do. Yeah, so let's break it down. I'm already excited for this fight. It hasn't even been put together yet. I don't even know if Merab has been officially up for it. So, but we're gonna go together anyway because it's such a fun fight that I wanted to do regardless. So now striking. Um, I'm gonna go to volume and crisp boxing. Volume and crisp kickboxing. I'm giving to Merab. Power. I'm gonna give to Henry. He's got heavy hands. That being said, with the kicks and then the volume, like I said, similar to how Aljo is able to keep his hands in Henry's face, I got to give the striking to Merab. But that's not. I don't really truly believe that this is going to be a strict striking game. However, I got to give the striking to Merab there, just on sheer volume and versatility with the own. However, Henry has very sneaky calf kicks, very sneaky low kicks that he can add to the power. So, I might have even just contradicted myself there, but I just feel that there's just a little bit more dexterity with the striking on Merab's side. Now, wrestling. This is where it gets interesting. Probably should have saved this for the last. Obviously, strict wrestling goes to Henry. He's one of the best wrestlers to ever step foot in the octagon. Maybe the best. Now, wrestling. Merab Dvalishvili. Now, why is that? Because of the volume of the striking, he's able to mix that in, extend the opponents. Um, I think that we split it down. There's wrestling A and wrestling B. If I don't want to get into the game plan just yet, but I'm going to give MMA wrestling to Merab. I'm giving strict wrestling to Henry. Ground game. Again, who gets on top? That's how I feel that's going to be. I guess it's a coin toss. I'm not going to give. I mean, I've seen more versatility with submissions to ground and pound from Merab. I felt than we have with Henry. Yes, in general, go to Merab. However, Henry's ground control is fantastic. So it's really hard to say. Remember, we're not talking jiu-jitsu. We're talking overall MMA ground. So I'm gonna stick to the toss up there. I'm I'm gonna bail out. I'm gonna tuck on that one. Plans. How do we break this down? What do we see? First of all, I believe overall we will see a lot of exchanges. A lot of exchanges because both like to use wrestling to score. I don't think it's going to cancel the other one out, but both they're going to need to exchange in order to open up what type of wrestling either one wants to use. Plain and simple. Now, um, let's start with Dvalishvili. Now, like I've said before, it reminds me of like a George St. Pierre. Got great MMA wrestling, which George has said prior, where my takedowns don't come from wrestling, it's from karate with the in and out, the in and out, the in and out, the timing and the fluidity. That reminds me a little bit of Merab. However, he's a little bit more of a steamroll style. And I think that he's able to keep that jab while he's moving a little bit more. Higher volume with the strikes, mix in some kicks to open things up, get the opponent to stop. And then when he's going to throw strikes, he gets the opponent's hands up and he shoots underneath. That is the kind of wrestling that he would be able to beat Henry Cejudo with, I think. Get Henry focused on your hands. Be selective with those takedowns and then go in. Or on the flip side, go for those takedowns. And if he defends, come up with the combinations with which Merab is already very successful at. So when it comes to Merab, especially in a 5-round fight, which I'm not sure if this would be, I think UFC Boston is a fight night, but we'll see. I think that it's the before and after the wrestling that is going to win. The before and the after the takedown is what's going to win this fight for Merab. The striking before and the striking after. That's how Merab wins this fight. He get Henry to cover up with the strikes before the entry of the takedown, and because if he does, that's when he could take Henry down. Or is Henry going to defend those takedowns, and is Merab going to land some combinations to score some strikes after the fact? That is how I think Merab wins this fight. That is a very high paced fight. You got to be in great shape for that, which I don't, if you notice, I don't focus a lot on conditioning when I do these. I feel that these fighters should be well conditioned as it is. These are two guys that definitely are. Now, if I'm Henry, remember what I said prior. Henry's got the power punches, so he's also, it's going to make Merab think once or twice. It's going to make him more selective when he's trying to set up those takedowns I talked about. However, also, Henry being shorter is going to help him here. I always said I was a shorter fighter. I had built in takedown defense for MMA because I was so short. Now, if uh, Henry can get inside, work his way inside, and make it a clinch game, that is where he could take him down. That is where he could use his traditional wrestling, and he can get it off on a Merab Dvalishvili. Now that's where I had good MMA wrestling, but whenever I had to clinch wrestle with real wrestlers, I always got lost in their game, and that's so. Now, if I am if I'm Henry, I'm going to use that. Be very select to come forward, but if I'm going to come forward, I'm going to use those power punches to clinch. Don't necessarily worry about being knockout. Let the knockout come if it happens. Come if it happens. Now, if I am if I'm Merab, how am I going to adjust to this? If I'm Merab, it's because of what I just said is happening. Henry is able to do that on me. Henry is able to he's able to clinch on me and throw style or just freestyle body locks, whatever. Now, if I am how do I avoid that? Open up that jab, similar to how it went. Go back to that George St. Pierre style. I said, open up that jab, stay offline on the Henry Cejudo that comes forward so hard. Don't let him square up on me. So I got to get those clinches, and then while I catch him squaring up on me and going flat-footed, that's when you can go back to takedowns and then the combinations after the fact. Don't hang out with those defended takedowns in that clinch because Henry will win and beat you there as well. So the adjustment is jab, keep him offline, keep flying, keep the angle on Henry. If he squares up, land the combination, then go for your takedown and score. If I'm adjusting on the on Henry's side, what am I going to do here? Okay. All right. So, like I said, Henry's got to come forward. But sometimes when you do that, you come forward, you're going to be susceptible to takedowns too hard against a quicker Merab Dvalishvili. So, what is Henry going to do here? Like I've said, how Tyron Woodley, I wish would have fought more at the end of his career. Sometimes standing your ground is the very essence. It's the same thing. Sometimes going forward is just standing your ground. Henry's adjustment is just control the center, stand your ground, let Merab come into you to score, and try to time counter power punches, counter takedowns to win that fight that way. So go from pressing forward to punching into the clinch to standing my ground to making Dvalishvili come forward and punching my way with those power punches, those hooks, those knees, and those takedowns. Anyway, that's what I got, guys. Hope this one. Can't wait for it if it does. Let me know what you think. Again, remember, please like, subscribe, and share. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.